Mueller.
Good morning. We're going to start our presentation here in about a minute, and I'm waiting for people to be able to log in. So give us about another 20 seconds and I'll go ahead and start the presentation. Well, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about understanding federal solicitations. First, a little, and it's an important topic because when you're looking for contracts with the federal government, that's what you're going to be looking at. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what we see out there. So first, a little bit about us. We're the Apex Accelerator. Formerly, we were called the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, commonly known as a PTAC. Locally, we're administered by the Monterey County Business Council, but Apex Accelerators are basically funded through the Department of Defense's Office of Small Business Programs, and they've been around since 1985. Congress seems to really love the program, so we're not going anywhere. There are 96 Apex centers across the United States and in U.S. territories, and there's 7 within the state of California. And the mission of all Apex Accelerators is to promote economic growth and to create employment opportunities in the local markets that they serve. And we do that by facilitating your access to the government marketplace. And although we're federally funded, government marketplace is federal, state, as well as local. I mentioned that there's 7 Apex Accelerators in the state of California. So each one of these colored areas represents a different Apex Accelerator. We're this teal area, Central Coast, Central Valley area in the state. But all the Apex Accelerators have really talented staff that can help you with any thing that you need to learn about government contracting. Talk a little bit more about the services that we all provide. First and foremost, it's just one-on-one counseling. We want to learn about your business, what you've done, what in the past, what are you doing now, and then of course your goals for government contracting. In our pre-award assistance, I'll teach you how to kind of basically do some market research. You can go out and find opportunities, help you kind of understand the solicitations that you'll see, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So it's actually a really good topic, because that can become really confusing once you start looking at them. And then talk about capability statements. It's a capability statement. Briefly, it's just a one-piece marketing flyer on your business that basically started in the federal marketplace. It's being adopted by the state government as well as prime contractors that do a lot of work with the federal government. They really like to see that information from you. We can help you put one together. Post-award assistance. So you do get a contract, but a conflict may arise, or it could be that maybe you didn't get, maybe you weren't awarded the contract, and we can talk to you about what debriefs are and filing protests and those types of things. I'm actually helping a client right now on those topics. Outreach events. So there are different events that take place throughout basically the entire country, but of course the ones that probably impact you the most are the ones that are more local. So when we hear about outreach events, oftentimes we're there attending, making presentations like the one today, offering our services to people there as well. Trainings, webinars, again, we do them in person. We did one last week in Salinas of how to do business with the city of Salinas in conjunction with the city. And then these webinars that you're participating in today. Bid matching is a service that Apex Accelerators provide. Some charge a fee, some don't, we don't. But basically what it is we use a third-party vendor that has a system that basically goes to thousands of websites where government opportunities are posted, and based on a profile that we've helped you create and we've uploaded into that system, any matches between your profile and the government websites are just emailed direct to you and in real time. And then lastly, certification programs. There's a lot of them out there. We help you kind of understand how they work, whether they make sense for your business or not, and then talk to you about sort of the process, the qualifications, the documents that are required in obtaining any kind of a certification. And then finally, we're your tax dollars at work, so there's no fees or commitments to you. So take advantage of that. And stating that, let me introduce to you a great strategic partner of ours, Sharon Mikesell with Cal Coastal Small Business Development Center.
Great. Thank you so much, Victor. As Victor mentioned, I am Sharon Mikesell. I'm the program manager at Cal Coastal Small Business Development Center. You may know us more often as Cal Coastal SBDC. You might know, there's around 1,000 SBDC centers nationwide. We, in particular, are part of the Central California SBDC network. Cal Coastal SBDC provides small businesses in Monterey and San Benito counties with one-on-one, no-fee business advising, training, and access to comprehensive resources and information that will help your business start, grow, and succeed. What we do is we provide financial education, business plan guidance, and marketing tips that can help businesses get started with government contracts of all sizes. And we find that many of our clients get started in government contracting as subcontractors or with contracts with cities, counties, and special districts. But our services, of course, complement Apex Accelerator services. So we recommend signing up for services from both of our organizations, especially, as Victor mentioned earlier, there's no cost to you for this service. And why is there no cost for our services? We have the support of our partners that include the U.S. Small Business Administration, the California Office of the Small Business Advocate, local partners that include the Monterey County Workforce Development Board, the Monterey County Business Council, the City of Salinas, and our host and small business lender, Cal Coastal Rural Development Corporation. So if you're not already our client, please visit our website at calcoastalsbdc.com, click that little green Get Started button, and of course, you can always follow us on social media, even if you're not in Monterey and San Benito counties. So thanks for joining us today, and I'm going to toss it back over to Victor to start today's presentation.
Thank you, Sharon. Yes, oftentimes it's common that as we're working with you, we'll suggest that you also work with the SBDC that's close to you, because they can help you with things that they have more expertise on than we have, say like social media marketing, those types of things, some financial planning. So take advantage of that. So now let's just kind of jump in here into our agenda today. So I'm talk to you a little bit just about basic steps in reviewing solicitation, some key terms that are important in the process. And then we're going to talk about the contract award process, and then common formats. And when I say common formats, you'll see what I'm talking about. They're basically forms, different forms that the government uses to buy different items, and then basic techniques to review solicitations. If we have time at the end, I'm going to actually show you a solicitation and then show you a document that I think can be helpful for you to kind of go through some of the steps in reviewing a solicitation. One thing I'll add too is that if you're on this webinar, you'll receive a copy of this PowerPoint presentation as well as a link to the recording so you want to listen to it again. So let's just jump into some basic steps. You know, when you look at a solicitation, what you want to do is you want to read the entire solicitation. One of the things when you first start looking at them, you're going to see that they can sometimes be kind of lengthy. And a lot of the solicitations that you'll see basically have a whole bunch of regulations in there, and a lot of them are in there by reference. So if you wanted to, you can at times go back and look at those to make sure you just kind of clear and understand what it is, but it's really common that basically a lot of those regulations that you'll see in every single solicitation that you would have an interest in. And then once you've read it, make sure you reread it. And I'll kind of go into a little bit later about the sections that are really important that you need to really be focusing on. And then these last couple bullet points this is one of the sections you really want to read and understand, is read these instructions to offers. It's typically labeled section L. And then I'll go into more detail that in a few minutes, and then read the evaluation factors. So those are the factors that your proposal will actually be evaluated upon. So make sure you understand those, and make sure that when you're putting your offer together, that you're clearly understand what it is that they're going to be looking at. And then once you kind of go through this process, you're going to just make a go, no go decision. So at this stage, you haven't even really done anything as far as putting together any kind of offer proposal, but you've read through the solicitation. You understand what it is that the government wants to buy. You've looked at those evaluation factors. You looked at the instructions to maybe understand what the timeline is of when you need to submit something, and then you quickly can make a go, no go decision. So then making that decision, okay, do we want to spend more time actually putting together an offer? So let's kind of jump into some of these key terms. And what we're talking about today too, I want to make sure you kind of clearly understand, is we're going to be talking about federal contract opportunities here, but a lot of what I'm going to go through is you'll see kind of very similar a similarity if you look at opportunity notices that come from state or local governments. But SAM.gov, if you're not familiar with that, that is the website where the federal government posts their contracting opportunities. Typically, the contracting opportunities are opportunities that are $25,000 and higher. Smaller purchases you won't see there. There's a different kind of a process for that. But that's where they're posting them. When you're looking at opportunities in SAM.gov, you'll see that they'll identify what type of notice it is. So it'll be a special notice, and a special notice may be an announcement about an event that the government is hosting or something like that. A sources sought notice is an opportunity that what it is it's a notice that the government puts out where the government is doing their market research. They will describe a opportunity that they have. And basically what they're going to be asking is if you're interested in this opportunity, we'd like you to respond to this sources sought notice. Show us that you've sold this product or service before in the past. Sometimes they'll ask for you to provide 3 examples of that. And then they want to know, do you qualify of any kind of socioeconomic category? Are you a small business, woman-owned, veteran, etc.? From that information, they'll make a decision of, which is kind of like that one of door to the bottom there, make a decision to set aside the opportunity for a specific socioeconomic group. So say they go through the sources sought process, they then determine that, say 5 veteran-owned companies have responded to that those 5 all look like they're qualified to provide the product or service that they're looking to purchase. And so then they make the decision, we're going to set this aside so only certified veteran-owned companies can submit an offer on it. Pre-solicitation is a notice that comes out. And actually in the sources sought notice, typically, if you see a sources sought notice, you know that the government is thinking to make this purchase. So the sources sought notice may come out months before some of these others will come out. But if you see the sources sought, you can already start preparing for the pre-solicitation and then the solicitation. So the pre-solicitation is the government just notifying prospective offers that, hey, we've got this solicitation. It's coming up. Here is more detail about it. than what was seen in the sources sought notice. So typically the time frame between when a pre-solicitation comes out and then when you actually see the solicitation is anywhere from like a week to 2 weeks prior. So when the solicitation comes out, that's what we're going to be looking at a lot today, but that's the actual document that says this is what we want to buy. These are all the terms and everything else that you need to understand. If it's a kind of a pretty simple, straightforward procurement that they want to, buy something, oftentimes you'll see what's called a combined synopsis solicitation. So typically, if you see one of those, the time window to respond to it is going to be like a week. It's not going to give you a lot of time, but it's for relatively more simpler transactions. I mentioned set-asides. So again, set-asides, one thing I'll mention about a set-aside is that if it's a set-aside for any of the socioeconomic categories, such as woman-owned, veteran-owned, 8A, etc., you have to be certified in order to actually submit an offer. So you may legitimately be a woman-owned business. The set-aside is for a woman-owned business, but you need to be certified through the SBA in order for your offer to be considered. So keep that in mind. And then this last term, there's always some confusion out there that people think that the lowest price always gets the contract, but that is actually not the case. It has to be the lowest price technically acceptable, LPTA. And purchasing people are pretty smart. So if your price is kind of way out of the range of everybody else's offers and what they thought would be what it should be the price, basically they'll probably take a harder look at your offer and probably see that either A, you forgot something, or B, you're trying to pull some kind of something shady just to kind of get your foot in the door. But they know that down the road, maybe once you get the contract, you're going to try to request some kind of price increase or something like that. So basically, it wouldn't be accepted. So here's some more terms. So FAR, you're in the federal marketplace, you hear this term FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulations. And when you look at these solicitations, you'll see a list of 100 of them in there. And again, you don't need to fear them, but for a lot of, basically the regulations are there to protect the government as well as to protect you. So again, in the beginning, you may want to, as you start looking at solicitations, kind of go look at it. Sometimes you can just see by the title of them what it implies. So you may not even bother wanting to read them, but there's some that may be somewhat confusing to you, and you might want to go to the link or copy and paste the number that's assigned to that specific FAR to make sure that you're clear on what it is. In fact, I'm going to point out one later that's actually pretty important. Another key term is sole source. People hear this term, sole source. Yes, the government can basically say, we're just going to give this contract to this company, but it happens less frequently than a lot of people are kind of led to believe. So it does happen, but again, typically if it's say a small business, it might be that especially this time of year, because the fiscal year is going to end at the end of September. If an agency has funds that they want to spend, so that way their budget isn't decreased next year, they may sole source some contracts, but typically they're going to sole source a contract to a company they already have relationships with. So they know that this is a good company. We've done several contracts with them in the past. Let's just sole source to them. Or it could just be something that's totally unique or you need immediate response, those types of things. With some of the recent disasters that we've seen, oftentimes that's when you'll see like a sole source contract being awarded because we need somebody yesterday, and time is of the essence, so they just will sole source it to somebody. And then here's some terms, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more about them, but we have what's called a request for quote, which is one thing, basically asking for a price, invitation for bid, and then the last one is request for proposal. And it's important to realize that a request for proposal, it's really the solution that you're going to provide to the government that is more important than the price. The price is important. It can't be so high that, you're just not in the ballpark, but it's just how you're going to provide typically a service to the government that in those evaluation factors that is the most important in making the decision rather than the price. And I'll kind of show you some examples. And then finally, award. So award is when, you actually then are informed, hey, we want to award this contract to you. Award does not mean you have a contract. It just means that they want to award it to you. And either A, you can say, hey, I'm too busy all of a sudden, so I can't accept that award. Or it could be that, anything could have happened, but the contract actually comes after award notice is given. So here I just kind of want to show you in this slide the difference between RFQs and then RFPs, or invitation for bid. So basically, with the top one, it's the request for proposal, invitation for bid. Basically, then the business puts together a proposal or bid and submits an offer. Then it goes to the government, and then the government basically either accepts it, basically awards that company the contract, or maybe you don't, but that's the process. Again, with the RFP, it's the solution you're providing is the most important decision-making factor in it. In the RFQ, it's all driven by price. So basically, it's the request for quote. You quote it. The government will come back to you. And sometimes when they want to make a purchase order, they may be prior to that even say, well, we received your quote. We like it, but can you reduce it a little bit? So be aware of that they may come back and ask you to lower your price a little bit. But if they accept your quote, then they will make a purchase order, which then translates to an acceptance of your offer. So again, here's the typical process. The government puts together a requirement of what do they want. They'll put together these solicitations. The contractor then goes, finds it. They like what they see and they say, yes, let's submit an offer. So the contractor submits a proposal. And then in section M of one of these documents I'm going to show you, they will actually show you what the evaluation factors will be. So that's the part where, again, you really need to focus on it. And then once they kind of go through that process, the government will then, by using those evaluation factors, they will give a score for each one of the evaluation factors that they have listed. And then from that score is where they'll make that decision on who they'll award this contract to. So these are the most common forms, and I'm going to show you some examples of them here. So, but again, they kind of vary on the type of product or service that the government wants to buy. So this standard form 18 is basically used request for quotes. So typically smaller purchases, more commodity type stuff. Again, where price is the most important thing. This next one, the standard form 30, is it really important because it's typically referred to as an amendment. But when you see solicitations in sam.gov, it's real common that first the solicitation will be posted, but then subsequently there'll be amendments or modifications to it. One of the real common amendments that you'll see is when you review the solicitation document, they'll say, you can ask the contracting officers questions up to this certain date. What they'll do is they'll get all the questions that come in. Basically, they'll answer them all, and then they'll post all those as an amendment so that everybody's on a even playing field. So again, that's an example of that. But that oftentimes there can be other amendments where they basically at one point decided that originally the offers were due on, say, September 19th, and they decided to push it out a month for whatever reason. Or it could be that you, as an expert in your industry, you ask questions to the contracting officer, and then the contracting officer said, oh, we need to file an amendment so that, because we saw that one of the offers basically posed the question that we realized they don't have enough information in order for us to actually do this correctly. So you'll see things like that. This standard form 1449 is the form really that is used when they're buying primarily products, materials, those kinds of things. And again, for commercial items, you'll hear the term COTS, commercially off-the-shelf type items. So that's the form that they're using for that. And then this last one is for construction projects, SF 1442. And hopefully we'll have some time, and I'll show you actually one of those, because there's some things in there definitely like to point out to you in that. And there is one more that I didn't list it here, but there is another standard form that is primarily for like architect engineering type services. So this is standard form 18. So again, this is just a RFQ, request for quotation. But some of the things I just kind of want to point out on this is that, like, you'll see up here in this first box there, says this RFQ is or is not a small business set aside. So again, if it's a set aside, it's going to be one of those boxes will be marked. It'll tell you whether how many pages of that might be this document might entail. So it could be that, it could be 30 pages long. So they would say 1 of 30, etc. When you look at some of these, a lot of this is already going to be filled out of issued by, request number, date issued, those types of things. Oh, I see when I did that. Then they'll have the name of the contracting officer. Here is where you would put the name of you as the offerer. Then it came in the company, person, street address, zip code, phone number, etc. And then down here is where you would then put in your prices. The item number, kind of a little description of it, quantity, unit price, unit, whatever it might be. So it could be, a bottle, it could be a pallet, whatever. Then the unit price, and then the final price. And then one thing that's really important to point out too is that, and you're not going to see that on this, I don't believe. Yeah. Is at the bottom of these forms, you'll see where you have to print and sign your name. You'll be amazed at how many people go through the trouble of putting together an offer and they forget to sign it. And if it's not signed, it won't even be looked at. So this is a copy of the amendment. So again, in this case, they're just going to fill all this out here. Down here will be the name of the that you would put in as the contractor. And at the bottom here is you will again sign it and acknowledge that you've seen the amendment, you understand the amendment. And what's really important is that when you submit your offer, whether it's a RFQ or RFP, you need to include these signed copies of all the amendments that come out. So that part is important to remember. One thing about any of these forms too, if you start looking at opportunities and you don't understand them even after this presentation, just reach out to your Apex counselor and we'll walk you through what you need to fill out, what you can leave blank. Because some of these, don't even apply to you, but it's not clear that you have to. You'll see that, and I think in the next one. So this 1449, you can see kind of the similarity but difference in this one. Again, the government's going to fill out this top part here, and you can see on this one that these are the set asides. On the one that we looked at before, it just said small business or not small business. But now on this one, you can see that it's different, where they include all these other socioeconomic categories that small business, hub zone, service-disabled veteran, woman-owned, 8A, etc. And then there might even be a percentage of the set aside. So that part, and then you'll see here that in here they put a NAICS code, North American Industrial Classification Standard. So they'll have that there, and then what the size standard is, which that either is going to be a dollar value for annual sales revenues or number of employees. And then down here, you'll see here it says contractor offer. This here confuses people. It says code, facility code. Some government agencies sell to other government agencies in the federal government. And so these codes apply to them. But for you as just a business owner, you just leave those blank and then you put in your own information down here. Yeah, and you can see here, this is kind of a continuation of that. Again, you're put in your name here, your and telephone number. And then this is, again, one that you can see that's kind of been filled out a little bit. This is the 1449 for just commercial items. So you can see how they check the boxes here that it's a small business set aside, 100%. They put the NAICS code here, 561730. I don't even know what that is off the top of my head. I should know that for this presentation. The size standard's $8.5 million. So, if your annual sales revenues are higher than that, then you can't submit an offer on this. Again, this is the name of the contracting officer. This is the office that it was issued out of, etc. And then, like it says here, delivered to, see schedule. So this document, as you can see up here, is actually 61 pages long. And I'm not going to show you all 61 pages, but in the document, it'll give instructions of where exactly, the description of the products that they want to buy, the quantities, all those kinds of things, and then where to deliver it to. Again, this is what, like I was mentioning here before, is that here's code, facility code, contractor offer. You just leave these blank. This was one government agency is selling to another one. So just quickly, I just kind of want to show you this. So this is an offer that was posted in sam.gov. So this is what the top of the web page looks like. So this is the notice ID. So they call it here notice ID, but it's also referred to as the solicitation number, or just what's the solicitation. It gives you, who's the customer, Department of Defense, Army Corps of Engineers. But further down, as you scroll down in sam.gov on this page, you'll see here, here's the solicitation. So this is what we're talking about today. But then you can see that, look at the dates here. You can see here's September 20th, and here's also September 20th. So in the very beginning, they posted the solicitation and the attachment. The attachments were probably something like plans and things like that. And then all of a sudden you saw on the 27th here's here was an amendment again, then that if somebody's interested, it's been an offer on this, they want to make sure that they look at that amendment, understand what it's communicating, print it out, sign it, scan it, because it's going to be submitted with the proposal. And then here was a subsequent amendment that came out. Sometimes you'll look at these and there'll be as many as, 10 different amendments to one solicitation. So just kind of keep that in mind. So when you're looking at solicitations, these are some basic review techniques. So this first bullet point, look for missing, contradictory, ambiguous, or inconsistent information. You, an expert in your field, may go through the solicitation and you're looking at the products or services that they want to purchase, and you'll say to yourself, well, I can't quote this because there's missing information, or what it says here doesn't match up with what they're saying down here. So make sure, like I said, when you read through this, that you're looking for those kinds of things. That happens all the time. And that's why then you have to submit a question to the contracting officer for clarity, because again, you don't want to ever kind of guess at what they might be thinking. You want to identify binding terms, dates, and times. When I say binding terms, it's like you want to, goes to the bottom here, like do like a word search in the document. Any words like shall, will, must, required, mandatory, those are all binding terms. You need to make sure you understand every single one in the document and what you're going to be bound to. Again, look at the dates and times. So those are important. There'll be dates and times, for example, of when you can, the time frame for you can submit questions to the contracting officer. And then the same thing goes to the date and time that when the offers are actually due. And whatever that date and time is, that is a very hard cutoff point. So if it's due at 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time, if your offer gets to them at 12:01, it's not even reviewed. It's late. So per that, it's really important that what you're seeing now is almost all this stuff is being submitted electronically. So in some cases, they have their own portals in which you need to submit your offer. Make sure you familiarize yourself with that portal like a couple days ahead of time, because you don't want to be there at the final hour and all of a sudden you're like confused on how does this thing work, and their help desk is down. And so make sure that, again, you familiarize yourself with that. Again, identify the deliverables. When you go through the solicitation notice, when you get past all the regs and all that stuff, there'll be details on the deliverables, but and some of them are going to be things that are priced, but other things are unpriced, but things that they want, time, services, etc. So make sure you identify any deliverables. Also, when you're looking at the documents, look for any kind of key performance requirements. So depending on the type of contract it is, it may require bonding. It may require labor agreements, or for you to acknowledge that, you're going to pay, say, Davis-Bacon wage rates on this project. It might require that certain key employees that you have undergone some kind of training, and maybe from that training have obtained some type of a certification that they are asking for. They may ask for special equipment. So again, look for those kinds of things. I mentioned this word search. So it's kind of nice because a lot of the products that are out there now, that it makes it easier to actually do searches for these kinds of words that are in there. And then again, make your go, no go decision. So again, you're kind of doing all this before you even tell your team, okay, we like this, let's go after it. Let's start sharpen our pencils and figure out how we're going to do this and what we're going to charge to do it. So I guess we do have some time. So let me show you this solicitation here. So this is solicitation on a construction project. And you can see that it wasn't completely filled out. They didn't like here indicate what type of solicitation, whether it's a sealed bid or negotiated bid. And then, but as you go down through this, and one thing I'm going to point out a couple things. This one's 31 pages long, not too bad. And you can see here they describe a little bit the work. Joint base Lewis McCord firehouse, kitchen, and bathroom remodel. Then they talk about here that there is a set aside status. This procurement is 100% small business set aside. They give the NAICS code 236220, the size standard associated with that. Then they kind of give you an idea. They said project magnitude, the magnitude of the project is estimated to be between 100 and 250,000. So kind of got an idea of, you know, does your business have the capacity to do that size of a project? Or maybe you're so large that, you know, you're not interested in a project of that size. And then you can see here that they tell you this solicitation is a request for quotation and not an invitation to bid. As a result, there will not be a public bid opening. So when it is these sealed bids, these invitation for bids, typically there's a public bid opening where people can come and actually they'll open up the bids for the public to actually see them. So let's kind of go through here. You can see here that there's some more information that they've added. It said the contractor shall begin performance within 5 calendar days and complete it within 100 calendar days after receiving. You can see here they had a choice to select award or notice to proceed. So it's real common that they'll say, okay, we're going to give the award out, but the notice to proceed is like in construction is what you're going to wait on. So that you may have the contract, they've given you the award, but it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, 2 months before you finally get the notice to proceed for one reason or another. It could be weather, or you never know. But and then you see here they say the performance period is mandatory. So they're saying you've got to get it done in 180 days. It's not negotiable. Then again, here, contractor must furnish any required performance and payment bonds, yes or no. So it's telling any potential offer you have to have bonding. And what you see here, it says 10 days. So what that means is that you don't have to get the bonding until you receive notice that you've been awarded the contract. So, but they give you 10 days to go out and get the bonding. What you've done is you've already done your homework. You met with your bonding agent. They know you're proposing on this opportunity, and they'll tell you, yeah, don't worry about it. If you get the contract, you're golden with the bonding. But you have 10 days to get the bonding. If you don't meet that 10-day requirement, then the contracting officer will go to the next lowest bidder. And then here's the instructions. Sealed offers in original and 2 copies to form the work are due at 12 a.m. local time, September 9, 2022. So, and then here it says an offer guarantee is not required. So, and you can see here it says offers providing less than 60 calendar days for government acceptance after the date offers are due will not be considered and will be rejected. So hopefully the government won't take longer than 60 days to award a contract. But they're saying is that if you, and it's common that you'll see that in offers that say this price is only good for 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, something like that. But they're indicating here 60 days, and that's as far as they'll go. Again, this is more of a simpler transaction, you know, it's small. And again, here you want to again make sure that you sign it. Here again, this is a simple solicitation. So they just want to know what you're going to charge to do this work. But there's some other stuff in here I kind of want to show out to you. So then you can see, although it's 31 pages, a lot of these pages, there's hardly anything on them, but these are the FARs that I was mentioning earlier. So these are, you can see there, it says clauses incorporated by reference. So again, if you want to, you can take the time to kind of go through these and understand them, etc. And once you kind of do that, you'll understand. But I can tell you that, like, these clauses that you see here, they're in every single contract. So like here, it says system for award management maintenance. I mean, if you're going to sell to the federal government, you need to have an active registration in SAM. Basically, that's what that is saying. Like down here, again, this kind of affirmative action stuff, equal opportunities for veterans, etc., combating trafficking in persons. And this is boilerplate. You'll see it on every contract. But so again, it's nothing for you to fear, but for you to understand. But there's one I do want to point out in here. And you can see it with this one, because it is construction. They're talking about like here, protection of existing vegetation, structures, equipment, cleaning up, accident prevention, those types of things. But this is the one I wanted to point out to you, that it could be really easy to miss. So this regulation 252-204-7020, and it says NIST 800-171 DOD assessment requirements. This is a cybersecurity assessment that you need to complete to be in compliance with this regulation. We're actually going to have a presentation on that on the, I believe it's the 26th of October. But if you've not heard of CMMC, talk to us about it and we can tell you, but it's important. Basically, when you submit your offer, you're basically telling the government all these FARs, you're in compliance with all of them. This one is important. And it's basically, it's something that you should be doing anyways. It's good cyber hygiene. Last thing you want to do is somebody, hacks into your computer system and you can't even access anything that's on your computers, that basically shuts down your business. So you can see here, so there's just a bunch of information. One thing I tell people, though, is when you start looking at opportunities with the government, don't necessarily try to look at something in your just in your backyard. Don't really put a geographical limitations on it, because like this contract, if this was on a military base in Georgia, it would look virtually exactly the same, only like the addresses would be different and something like that. But as far as all these clauses and things like that, it's all going to be the same. So it's just for you to familiarize yourself with it before you're really looking at one that's you decide you really want to submit an offer on. One thing I want to show you with this is, again, this is 31 pages. But when you get down here to page, I guess we're on page 10, all of a sudden there's some questions that you need to answer. So I've highlighted them. Contractor represents that it is or is not a small business concern under NAICS code assigned to contract number. And then there's a bunch of other questions like this that you need to answer. So what you want to do is print out this solicitation and then make sure that you go and answer all these questions here. And because if you just kind of think that, oh, you only need to submit like the first page or two of the solicitation where you're submitting your price, then your offer will be rejected because you didn't include this. And then one thing I wanted to show you in this one is I'm just going to go down through it. Let me see, grab and see if I can get it to it faster. Again, these are all just clauses that you want to familiarize yourself with, but shouldn't be a hindrance in you submitting an offer, etc. Here they talk about, here's a list of attachments. So when this notice was posted in sam.gov, these attachments were all accessible there on that website. So you could download them, print them out, etc., so that you would have them. So either A, the attachments helped you to put together your proposal, such as these. Here's floor plan, location. Again, here's a contract progress report. So that's something that probably then whoever won the contract would have to submit to the contracting officer like once a week or something like that. So some of them are just to help you put together your offer. Like this statement of work is really critical for you to really understand the work. And some of these others, will help you if you get the contract to, be able to, like this one, WAF invoice checklist. And then finally here, I just kind of wanted to show you is the very end here, they mentioned, they bring it up again, this cybersecurity NIST 800-171. But they also right here, this last one they added, and this can be oftentimes just almost anywhere in this document, is a site visit. So they're saying, like here it says, accordingly, offers or quoters are urged and expected to inspect the site where the work will be performed. And then they said an organized site visit has been scheduled for September 2022, or no, the 5th of September, and then participants will meet at that. One thing that's important to notice that, because this opportunity was actually on a military base, is that you're going to have to, in order to be here on time, make sure you arrive on time and give yourself enough time to actually go and get checked in through security to get access to the base. So depending on how busy that gate might be, you may be there for 20 minutes, you might be there for an hour. In some cases, I've seen to get access to some military installations, you actually have to complete a document and submit it literally weeks in advance for them to do their due diligence and reviewing, and then them giving you access to the base. So let me stop this. And I'm going to real quickly show you something that we can share with you. We've put this together. It's a pre-proposal checklist. And so you can kind of go through this to kind of maybe quickly make your go-no-go decision. Look at what the deadline is to submit the proposal quote. Is there a pre-proposal conference date that they might have? Is there a site visit date? And you're putting in, what is it? Pre-proposal inquiry cutoff date. So this is the Q&A period. So again, typically they tell you, you can send questions to this person at this email address up to this date. When did they issue the solicitation? Set aside. Is there any kind of set aside that they've applied for it? And if there is one, do you qualify for it? NAICS code. Does the NAICS code that you have in your SAM account match the NAICS code that they've listed on the document? Again, project amount estimated. Like you saw in that last one, they figured it was going to be between 100 and 200,000. So does that fit your wheelhouse or not? Solicitation type. So again, the different types that we went through with those different forms. period of performance. So again, might be a contract where they're saying, this contract is for 1 year with 4 option years. So it could potentially be a 5-year contract, or it might say like on this one is that the period of performance was 180 days after they got the notice to proceed. Place of performance, like I was mentioning earlier, does the firm have base access? So you can get it. And typically, like if you've never been on the base providing work, they'll give you time to, do the background checks and then get like a pass for your employees so that they don't have to stop at the gate every single time to get the security clearance. They already done that. So they just go and show the guard at the gate their pass, and then they can get easy access onto the facility. So all the rest of these, is there any bonding, bed guarantees, payments? Again, the amendments, watch for them. They need to be signed and included. Make sure you understand, how you're supposed to submit the proposals. Is it the post office, email, overnight, those types of things. Understand the type of solicitation. Again, is it low prices? Is it being driven by low price? Is it best value trade-off? Best value trade-off is, again, the submitting a proposal, and then just the type, etc. And then key personnel. Oftentimes you'll see in the proposal that they will require you to have a project manager, quality control manager, site safety, and health and operations superintendent, etc. And again, you need to submit that. And then again, any kind of liability insurance. I won't go through the rest of these, but again, this is something that I think what I'll do is I'll send this with the PowerPoint to you. It's a good tool to just kind of quickly go through the solicitation, so that way you can kind of make that quick go, no go decision on an opportunity. So with that, let me go back, and I think time for some last minute questions. Let's see. Oh, one thing I did want to mention, let me grab this. Why isn't it not working? There it goes. I just want to talk about it just real quickly. Upcoming webinars. So 2 weeks, we're going to talk about certifications and the ones that are out there, and more importantly, kind of the qualifications to obtain them. And then October 14th, it's actually National Apex Accelerator Day. So we're going to actually then just do a presentation on introduction to government contracting. So that'll be a good fun one. And then you heard me mention several times about cybersecurity and how important it is. So October 22nd, Project Spectrum is a nonprofit that's funded through the U.S. government to help small businesses get in compliance with that NIST 800-171. And so they will be given a presentation on CMMC2, and also, their website and how to use it, etc. So with that, I'll jump in and take some questions. Let me see what we got here. Somebody wants to know, what does it mean by an offer? Guarantee is not required. And in some cases, if you submit a proposal, you basically have to submit also a bond that guarantees that you will do the work for that price. So that's what that means. I see. Then somebody was pointing out that October 14th is a Saturday. I probably put the 14th. That's my mom's birthday, but it's actually the 12th, a Thursday. So the 27th is a Wednesday, and then the following two, which is kind of out of our pattern, are on Thursdays, October 12th for Intro to Government Contracting, and October 26th for Project Spectrum CMMC 2.0. Let's see. Must question my past operations I've used as I remember the Prompt Payment Act. Yes, Prompt Payment Act is still in effect. Somebody was asking me about this yesterday. The thing is with prompt payment is that oftentimes when you submit like your first invoice, it's not uncommon that you do it incorrectly, so that delays your payment. So once you kind of figure out the system of how to do it, etc., then once you submit the invoice, the payments do come pretty quick, like clockwork. But sometimes it may require you to do it 3 or 4 times before you really kind of quickly understand it. And then somebody rewrites, I remember accelerating my payment successfully, only offering a 2% discount. So yes, in some cases, the government will even ask you, would you provide a discount to us, you know, like 2 net 10, 210 net 30 type of thing. So it looks like you had one of those in the past, and they do that. Yeah. Right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions. We're at the top of the hour, so I'll let you go, and then hopefully we'll see you in 2 weeks when we talk about certifications. Thank you very much, and we'll see you.